What a megalith of a story today. White House press room absolutely erupts. Kamala savagely attacked. I hope you got the full storyline. This is no laughing matter. This is well beyond just her policies. It is a story that dives far deeper. How did this occur? How did it happen? And why does she look absolutely panicked here right when all this went down? Well, that is the story I'm going to bring you in just 1 minute. Before we get started, as we ask, please just make sure you're subscribed to Lisa's channel. Make sure you're subscribed to mine. She'll put a link above. It means the world to us. We have to ask every time because, well, a lot of you'll find out you're not subscribed anymore, although you may or may not have done anything about it. So please double check for us if you want to support us, and we need more support now than ever. The suppression engine is in full swing. That's why we created a restricted republic just for you. I know we talk about it all the time because that's something we created. That's the business we built for you. We don't ask for just simple donations. We give you something in return, and that is more news. Only exclusively available at Restricted Republic. Lisa dreamt it up. We created it. We used our own money. Nobody interferes in that news but us. I need you there today. Go ahead and use discount code INDEPENDENT. $4 a month for 2 years. You cancel anytime. We know times are tight, and there's always a way out. You have a dashboard to do whatever you need. But once you're there, I promise you, you'll go nowhere else because that platform is absolutely amazing. Come see what I'm talking about. Get to restrictedrepublic.com today. But now, let's get back to this broadcast. Love this photo. Something lurking in the background. Well, what's lurking in the background now comes to the surface. They want you to forget that Kamala's all been, well, non-existent in the Biden administration. From start to finish. Largely out of sight in Washington, Kamala Harris preps for White House. That was in the beginning. Let's advance forward a little bit. What is Kamala's role? Border czar. No. No. Wait. That's right. She's the border czar. Never forget that. But the administration started pushing her away. You heard about the battle lines being drawn. You heard there was a rocky relationship rumored between Biden and Harris, but they want you to forget that. For Kamala Harris, a shifting role, fewer public events with Biden. Is that really unusual in an administration? No, not particularly. But I don't want anyone to forget that these battle lines have been drawn. These two didn't get along from all rumors out there, from all reports out there. But they want to wash that away. But I'm not going to allow it to happen because what Biden just did puts it in center focus. The Biden who felt betrayed, isolated, angry, the big decision not to run again, and he has an axe to grind. I don't think that's ever gone away, and he proves it here. I'll give him credit. For a man who, to me, isn't too sharp, he did a brilliant job masking a message, savagely attacking Harris within this statement. But it goes far beyond just this statement. Because if it is true what he says, that him and Kamala are just, man, they are on the same page all the time. Well, first, this appearance would go against that. But second, well, then that means they're both equally responsible for what just happened to Israel. And I'm going to put in 5 steps why no one should ever want Kamala to continue the legacy that Biden began. Because it is, in my opinion, as much their responsibility for Iran launching that attack on Israel as anyone else's. I'm going to tie off this segment with that story. It's quick, trust me, but it's something you need to know because you got to be able to share it with people because it is so black and white. But let's listen in here for 1 minute.
No, sir. I didn't call on you, sir. I didn't call on you. Nandita. Thank you. Nandita, go.
There have obviously been a number of crises that the country has been facing over the past several days with the hurricane, with the port strike, with the situation in the Middle East. Can you talk about how your vice president, who is running for the presidency, has worked on these crises and what role she has played over the past several days?
Well, I'm in constant contact with her. She's aware we're singing from the same song sheet. She helped pass all the laws that are being employed now. She was a major player in everything we've done, including passage of legislation which we were told we could never pass. And so she's been, and her staff is interlocked with mine in terms of all the things we're doing.
The shot heard round the world. An absolute savage attack on Kamala Harris that so many missed. Well, not everyone missed it. CNN alludes, and we'll go through the details of what he just said, because if you heard him like I did, everything I've done, Kamala was right involved with. She even cast the deciding votes. She can't separate from my non-legacy. If you wanted to get her elected, you probably want to give her some distance from your failed legacy, but that is not what Biden did. At one point during the briefing, Biden made sure to let reporters know. I'm going to read this to you real quick. Biden made sure to let reporters know that all his policies also belong to Kamala Harris, something Harris has tried to distance herself from for the past several weeks. Of course she did. Well, Biden pulled her right back in. So bad is it that even CNN has to come out and say, man, it doesn't appear these two are communicating. The left hand doesn't know what the right is doing.
I do have a note, and I'm curious what you think about this. We were actually about to go live to Vice President Kamala Harris, who's speaking right now in Detroit, Michigan, and apparently she's talking about this port strike ending. She's trying to appeal to union workers, and yet you have the President of the United States come out clearly overshadowing her, answering significant questions. Is that a communications mistake? Is the left hand not talking to the right hand in this situation?
Well, I'm going to answer that question because it could have been Kamala's shining moment. I solved the port strike. But what does Biden do? When's the last time he's been in the White House press room? I actually don't believe he has been since his presidency. I could be wrong. But I think it's one of the very few times, at least. And he does it right when she could give her crowning moment, and all the main networks will cover it. But he knows if he walks in that press room, gets it to erupt, all the coverage will be on him. And where was all the coverage? On Joe Biden. He had an axe to grind, and he did it. Just think about the indicators. People want to think, oh, he's so senile he put on a Trump hat. Well, think about it a different way. Was that the big middle finger in the air to Kamala Harris when he did that? Or do you believe it's just a mistake? Remember what I believe, all the world is a stage and there is no such thing as coincidence. Scott Jennings even coming out. He is literally trying to destroy her campaign, and it's just incredible. We are singing from the same song sheet. My failures are her failures. Don't allow her to distance from it. Well, she has enough problems of her own, doesn't she? Almost simultaneously, sitting here, the emergency ensues. Her teleprompter goes down. I cannot believe the people keep looking by her incapability to speak off script. But here's evidence of it. Look at her absolutely come unraveled the minute the teleprompter accidentally goes off.
Remember his number? 32. Today we got 32 days until the election.
Uh-oh. We got a problem. Houston, my teleprompter's down. Look at the look of panic in her face.
So 32 days. 32 days. Okay, we got some business to do. All right. 32 days. And we know we will do it. And this is going to be a very tight race until the very end. This is going to be a very tight race until the very end. We are the underdog, and we know we have some hard work ahead.
That's what she came up with. That's all she can come up with. She doesn't even know how to fill dead space when she gives this brilliant, oh crap face. My teleprompter's down. I'm about to be exposed. They're going to know why I won't do any interviews because I may actually have to answer a question at some point in time that I wasn't given ahead of time. So let's jump ahead again. Because if Kamala and Biden are locked on the same song sheet, then that means Kamala would be responsible for one of the biggest Middle Eastern debacles in history. The launching of missiles into Israel from Iran. Victor David Hansen did an amazing job in this article published on the New York Post. I'm going to put it into perspective through the real-time articles because he said there was 5 steps to getting there. 5 simple steps that led not only to the missiles being launched into Israel, but the worst 45-minute film you'll ever see, aka the attack on October 7th at that music festival and the loss of 1,400 souls. A tragic, horrific attack. No one should ever forget what was done there. Hamas showed you what they will do, not only what they were capable of. On top of the 180 plus missiles flown into a sovereign nation. And how did the Biden administration facilitate, aid, and or make it all but 100% possible it was going to happen? Step 1. He starts out, while he's campaigning, calling Saudi Arabia a pariah. He starts the Middle Eastern instability. One of our allies, believe in him or not, an important ally, he goes ahead and rips out the very footing and foundation that Trump and Saudi Arabia have built. To make matters worse, he then takes the Houthis and takes their terrorist designation and removes it. Nobody could fathom why. So what happens? They immediately start attacking ships in the Red Sea, and they continue through this day. This is all only step 1 of what the Biden-Harris administration did. But then the minute they got in trouble right before the last election cycle, because oil prices were going up, he has to hobble back, crawl back to Saudi leadership and say, hey, I need you to increase your oil production. Seriously. The instability increases again. They got to be scratching their heads like, who the heck are you? Well, that's the same thing Israel did too. That's the same thing Iran did too. Who the heck are you? The United States. Number 2, why has Biden stopped pushing for Arab-Israel peace, the Abraham Accords? You know about these? Even financial or foreign policy, not a big fan of Trump at all times, writes this about the Abraham Accords. The historic Arab-Israel Normalization Agreement of 2020. An extraordinary triumph of U.S. diplomacy. More than a quarter century after Israel's last peace deal with one of its Arab neighbors, the United States brokers 4 such deals in rapid succession in the final months of Donald Trump's presidency. Love Trump or hate him, the accords represented a stunning advancement in Washington's decades-long quest to secure its vital interest in the Middle East by helping reconcile its most important regional partners. And what does Biden do? Shreds it up. Doesn't follow through. As a matter of fact, if you read lower, unfortunately, much of the diplomatic momentum to widen the circle of peace was lost in U.S. President Joe Biden's first year in office. He tears it up. Amazing steps, huh? More instability in the Middle East. That was only step 2, step 3. The Iran nuclear deal, call it what you want. Oh, come on. Justice? Biden never allowed it. He did. They want to restore the deal. Oh, but that was going to put controls in. Iran was just going to use it for nuclear energy. That means you trust Iran. That right there is a big freaking problem. Because what happens? President Biden and Iran's leaders say they share a common goal. They both want to re-enter the nuclear deal that President Donald J. Trump scrapped 3 years ago. And well, he should have, because he knew if he allowed it, they would go ahead and build a weapon. And what do? They go ahead and build a weapon. Blinken says Iran's nuclear weapon breakout time is now probably down to 1 to 2 weeks. Congratulations to the Biden-Harris. Remember, Joe, we're one administration. Bang up job you did here. But to make matters worse, you then pull the sanctions against them. Oh, no, we continued the sanctions. No, you didn't. It dropped oil sanctions against the theocracy, allowing a near destitute Iran because Trump had made them destitute. No money. Sanctions crippled them. Biden rolls them back. And they make $100 billion in profits overnight. You've now funded Iran, which means you have funded the terrorist organizations you support, which means suddenly they're bolstered with weapons and power, and boom, we have an attack at the music festival. Launching off, we have missiles fired into Israel. But to make matters even worse, we then negotiate with terrorists and give them $6 billion in frozen funds. Boy, we made them nice and rich, nice and quick. An enriched Iran immediately sent billions in support and weapons to the anti-Western terrorists of Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis to attack Israel, America, and international shipping with the money that the Biden administration allowed them to get. Step 3, done. Step 4, reversing Trump-Biden restores aid to Palestinians. Reversing Trump, Biden restores aid to Palestinians. Hundreds of millions of dollars to the West Bank and Gaza, but without any guarantee that the Palestinian Authority and Hamas would desist from their past serial terrorist acts. In the case of Hamas, U.S. and Western humanitarian aid simply freed up more dollars in Gaza for more terrorist organizations to arm itself and build the subterranean tunnels that we found out about when Israel went into Gaza. What an administration! What a shining example! Should we continue? I mean, that's only 4. Oh, that's right, 5. That any response to the horrific attack at the music festival should only be proportionate. And then you launch missiles into a sovereign nation, and your response should only be proportionate. No, I'm not really sure you should attack those oil fields. No, I don't think you should attack their nuclear energy facilities either. No, we'd sure hate to show them that if they do it again, they'll pay a price. We'd sure hate to grow a pair. Nah, a proportionate response. We would not support Israeli strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. I don't want to upset anybody. And that's 5 ways you empower Iran and demolish the U.S. And when you are tied now, Kamala Harris, to Biden, you are responsible. And anybody who would elect her in to further this agenda, I have a tough time understanding. So why did Biden-Harris so foolishly ignite the Middle East? This is the end of the article. Victor Davis Hanson wrote, in part, the administration naively tried. I'll go full screen so you can read this with me. But why did Biden-Harris so foolishly ignite the Middle East? In part, the administration naively tried to resurrect the old, discredited Obama administration notion of creative tension, empowering a rogue Iran and its terrorists to play off Israel and the moderate Arab regimes as a new sort of balance of power in the region. In part, Harris-Biden was caving to increased anti-Semitism at home. Think about the Squad. And the rise of powerful pro-Palestinian groups on U.S. campuses and in its critical swing electoral college states. Let's not do what's best for the country. Let's do what's best to get votes. In part, Biden-Harris was naive and gullible. The two brought in the anti-Americanism and anti-Israel boilerplate of our enemies. So they thought to make amends by seeing Iran and its terrorists as the moral equivalent of democratic pro-American Israel. Their malignant legacy is the current Middle East disaster. So how did Joe Biden savagely attack Kamala Harris when he comes into the White House press room for one of the only times he's ever done it, if not the only time he's ever done it, to tie the two together, sew them up nice and tight, and ultimately assure every voting American that the devastation in the Middle East caused by our ineptitude will only pursue and continue under Kamala Harris because they're singing from the same songbook. What a brilliant, mean attack on Kamala Harris. Hope you enjoyed the broadcast. We love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justice Knight, signing out.